I have a passion for teaching seniors, especially people who are 70, 80, and 90. Anybody have that same passion, or maybe you think you might? Yeah, it's an awesome age group, you guys. And they are like sponges. They want to learn so much from us. And so I say, and I'm christening all of you in the room, you are no longer yoga teachers, you are yoga educators. And that is how I teach yoga. I educate people. So my goal today is to really give you lots of information, lots of tidbits that you can weave into your classes, and not only teach a pose, but educate people why we're doing this, what's the benefit, and what's the things you should be aware of. My teaching philosophy, and anybody who has seen my YouTubes and my newsletter, is you've got to be creative. You've got to be creative to keep your audience engaged and coming back to you. I feel sorry, and I hope nobody in this room is in this category, but I feel sorry for anybody who teaches those flows that are 26 poses in the same way all the time. Don't tell me if you're doing that. I don't even want to see raise your hands. But I feel sorry for a teacher like that, because there's no creativity in that. And I think we all have our unique personalities, and we're meant to be unique, and we're meant to be unique teachers. And so I am always about being creative. So for instance, like, I did a hip opener like this one day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the Charleston, right? So we do the Charleston, and then we do it faster, and then we see if we get it right at the end, and just little playful things like that, I always put a challenging pose in there, right? I tell them that this one is L for love. We're going to make an L for love here, right? And then this one I teach. I take moments in my class to teach them. This is not what you want to do when you're stretching your hamstrings or your back, right? We want to take the shoulders down, squeeze the rhomboid. So I teach them. So again, we are educators. And then I also enjoy. I do lots of laughing and giggling and screwing up. Everyone loves it when I mix up the right and the left. They love it, so, and I told them if I ever start not doing mirroring, then my mind is gone, right? Because I'm trying to do that as long as I can, because it challenges the mind. Anybody who mirrors, do you agree with me? It challenges your mind so much. So I continue to do that, and of course sometimes I do screw up, but I continue to do it. Okay, so the art of cueing. This is what makes a pose more interesting to me, and maybe even more valuable to the student, is how you cue, right? You could just say, everybody get into Warrior One. Okay, so what are we doing in Warrior One? Why are we doing it? What's happening, right? So for instance, I like this one. 25% of all the bones in your feet are in your feet. So let's do some more ankle rocks to strengthen them. So everybody just bring their feet up and just point and flex. So I might be saying that. I might be going, okay, everybody, we're going to strengthen our feet right now. Point and flex, right? And do you realize that 25% of all your bones are in your feet? Look how important these little bones are, right? They hold all your weight. That's why the feet have to be very, very strong. So that would be somehow I would weave in a cue while I'm doing something. Like I would educate, like tight pectoral muscles usually indicate your rhomboids, right, are weak. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, right? So if your shoulders are pulled forward, and we call this locked short, these muscles are locked short, these muscles in the back are locked long. So what we want to do is strengthen them. And I got this from one of the teachers, is create a back cleavage. Can anybody remember what that feels? I mean, can you imagine that? What a visual that is, right? Get the back cleavage in there, and that's your rhomboids, right? So, okay. So I got a smile out of you guys, right? So that's what we do, right? Tight hamstrings pull on the lower back and cause back pain, right? A lot of people have tight hamstrings, so that's one reason we would do a downward facing dog. Quadriceps lift and support your knee joint, right? So anybody who has what we say bone on bone or arthritis in their knee, best thing you could do is strengthen the quad. That muscle actually is so strong it can lift up your kneecap a little bit and give you some space there. So that's why we do a chair pose. That's why we hold it for a couple breaths to strengthen that muscle. Synovial fluid, as we know, moves into the joints. That's why we always do these rotation things. So you can see what I'm talking about in terms of you're cueing and you're educating at the same time you're doing. Right? So it doesn't become this big workshop thing and just like on and on, 15 minutes of why this pose is so important, right? You're doing it as you're kind of doing the pose.